So let's continue our lecture. Now, as I told you, the visual analytics, we talked about descriptive analytics and predictive analytics. Now let's move on to the performance dashboards. Performance dashboards are primarily used in BPM software suites or BA platforms. So BPM stands for business process management. We will look deeply into BPM processes to BPM dashboards today. So dashboards provide visual displays of very critical information. It can be consolidated into a single screen. That means you can show a pie chart, you can show a trend line, you can show individual categories, or you can show a geographical heat map. All of this are squashed up into a single sheet, single display. That's called a dashboard. Like here, this is a dashboard. You have a geographical display. You have some meters, like, are you on the red, are you on the green, some display, nominal, excessive. So now you have a trend line, you have a bar chart, and you have a line chart as well. So this is basically what you call an executive dashboard. And a performance dashboard, the fundamental challenge of the dashboard is to display in a single screen all the information, and it should be very easy to understand and easy to follow. The three layers of information are monitoring, analysis, and management. So what do you look for in dashboard? We look for the use of visual components to highlight data and exceptions that require action. So it should be very transparent to the user that it means it need not require any training, and it should be very easy to use. So we should effectively be able to combine a variety of systems into a single view of business. We should be able to drill down or drill through underlying sources of reports. So for example, if you say, if your dashboard tells that the sales have increased in a particular geographical region, now you can drill into that and say, what are those sales? Are those sales of furniture, or the sales of IT supplies? What are those sales? So that is quite drilling down. Then you can present the dashboard should be able to present a dynamic real-time view with timely data. It should be able to require little coding, and we don't want to do a lot of coding to be able to do a dashboard. So the best practices, we look at the best practices, the benchmark KPIs, or with the industry standards. Then we wrap up the metrics. We wrap the metrics with contextual metadata. We talked about metadata. So fundamentally, metadata is a data about the data itself. Then it should also be able to validate the design by usability specialist. Then we can enrich the dashboard using a business user comments, and then we can pick the right visual constructs. And finally, one of the best practices is to provide guided analytics. So what is the role of business process management? What is the meaning of a BPM? So BPM is a real-time system that alerts the managers to potential opportunities. So they will be informed about the problems, the threats, and they will give information to them to react and um, and act based on the information through either by the inputs that are given to them by the models, and by collaborating with other people, they will be able to come to a good decision and act based on that. That is the ultimate goal. Your goal is to enable them to make good decisions. Also, corporate performance management, an performance management, or strategic enterprise management, all of these are different performance management tools. So let's continue with BPM. BPM refers to a business process, a methodology, or a metric um, that is primarily used by enterprises to measure and monitor business performance. So basically, what it's saying is, we are looking at how a business is doing, and BPM gives you an architecture in which, or the metric in which we can measure the success of the business. So we can, if you want to look at the trends such as sales figures or profit figures or market share, whatever metrics that you want to. So a BPM is primarily is a business process that enables and monitors the business performance. So BPM has three fundamental components. So first of them is a set of integrated closed loop management and analytic process. So integrated, then closed loop management and analytical processes. All these are supported by technology. The tools for businesses to define strategic goals and then measure and manage the performance against them. And the final one is to is final component is the method and the tool for monitoring the key performance indicators, or KPIs. So they are all linked to the organization strategy. So these are the three sets of tools, the processes. The first of all is analytical process, then business tools, then key KPIs, key performance indicators. So a closed loop process to optimize the business performance could look like this. Now you can see on the circle we have strategize means where, what is your vision, what is your ultimate goal, what is your ultimate strategy. And then we look at planning. We are looking at a managerial level, upper managerial level. We'll do budgeting, forecasting, planning, initiatives, and sets the targets. Then we will look at a little bit more at a lower level. Then we'll look at performance dashboards. When looking at analytics and reports, and then we will talk about acting and adjusting to the final plan. So once the dashboards are presented, then we will act and adjust our steps according to the final process. Strategize. What do we need to do? Let's look at each of these individual segments, quadrants. Let's say this is one quadrant. So let's look at first quadrant. In the first quadrant we are doing strategic planning. So we conduct an environmental scan, determine the environmental horizon, get an estimate of what is going on and where we are. That's, we complete a gap analysis. Where are we located and where do we want to go? So create a vision and create a goal. Then we are moving on to the operational planning. Operational planning is a plan that translates the organization strategies and goals into a well-defined tactics and initiatives. So now you have a plan, now you have a strategy, you convert that strategy into a plan. So operational plan can be either, it can be based on tactics or a budget. Now, the third quadrant is the monitoring. So monitoring is looking after the critical success factors, looking after, for example, the your sales, your profits over a period of time, and your market share, your shareholder happiness. So all these things. So these are strategic goals and targets that you want to set, and then how you monitor them. Then the final quadrant is acting and adjusting. So once we know all the products that are entering into the new market, so now we can make a decision. Like if you are having Starbucks coffee, you are running a chain of Starbucks restaurant, Starbucks coffee. Now you want to design a plan and you want to do some environmental scanning and identify where you want to open the next Starbucks franchise. So that will be a plan of action, but you need to provide a lot of details in order for you to make a decision like that. If your manager, if your boss wants you to do some surveys, do some analysis, then you need to present the tools for him to make a decision in a single dashboard. But one thing we need to know, we need to understand that many new projects and ventures, they fail. 60% of the Hollywood movies fail, 70% of the IT projects fail, but still that doesn't mean you should give up. Like, you should always be optimistic and go for it. Now the performance management system is the one that assists the managers in tracking the implementation of business strategy. How do they do that? They compare the actual results against the goals that were already set. So if your results are actually better than the goal, then it is, that means you are doing way better than what is expected of you as in that situation. Now, uh, let's move on. Now, KPIs, or the key performance indicators, they are they are a strategic objective and metrics. They are the metrics that measure the performance. For example, time frames. So I want to reach this target by this timeline. I want to have my market share between 20 to 25%. So these are all benchmarks or the time frames that indicate the performance of a business. So KPIs, they can be based on an outcome based KPI or a driver based KPI. An outcome based KPI will be like a revenue, for example, or a profit. That would be an outcome. Now, a driver based KPI will be number of sales leads, number of enquiries that we want to get. That would be a driver. That does not indicate the profit that you are going to make. That does not, that will clue, that will give you a clue towards the outcome. So the operational areas that are covered by driver KPIs are customer performance, service performance, sales operations. These are all, if these are good, that means the health of the organization is good. But the real health, real success of an organization is actually measured by the outcome KPIs. That means how much money you are making, how much success you are having, how much market share you are having. These are all outcome KPIs. And how is a customer performance, how is a service performance, these are all driver KPIs. So the final performance measure is a balanced scorecard. So balanced scorecard is a methodology that translates an organization's financial, customer, internal, and growth objectives into an actionable initiative. So you take all of this: financial level, customer level, internal process, learning objectives, growth objectives, targets, all of this. You make a decision based on all of this. So that is called a balanced scorecard. This is a balanced scorecard. If you take a look now, customer, at a customer level, you see how should I appear, how should I appear to my customers. Then learning and growth, what is there to for my employees to learn and grow, for my technical team to learn and grow. That would be learning and growth. Then financial, what should I do to reach my targets, how should I appear to my shareholders. Are you a market leader, are you a follower, so what are you doing? That's a financial side of it. Then you have internal business processes. These are measures, targets, and initiatives. These are primarily done to satisfy our shareholders and our customers. And what businesses processes do we excel at, what is our strategic core competence, and then working on those internal business processes. This is called vision and strategy, and this is a balanced scorecard. Now we'll talk about Six Sigma. Six Sigma is a good performance measurement. So the reason why it's called Six Sigma is is if you know a little bit of statistics, sigma is an indication of standard deviation. So Six Sigma means the the defective items should be the range of the range of the number of defective items should be plus or minus of the six standard deviations away from the mean. What it means is the number of defects should be almost non-existent, almost close to zero, even if you take a million samples. That is called Six Sigma. So if you are familiar with the normal distribution, Six Sigma would be like 99.9999 percentile, maybe one more 99.99999 percentile. So that means the number of the chance that you will have at least one defective item is very, very less. So Six Sigma is a good performance measurement. And uh, the The closed loop business improvement model, that it contains the defining, measuring, analyzing, improving, and controlling process. That is DMAC improvement. And the Six Sigma is basically lean manufacturing production. So as I mentioned, it has to be production based. The number of samples, number of defects should be so less. So that concludes the our chapter for first part of data analytics. So we will continue our data analytics lecture in the next class, which will be chapter 5. Any questions?